In this video, I want to go over the ways to use a shield in a fight, if necessary, inspired by Captain America's style of fighting. Before I begin, if you enjoy this type of content, make sure to like and subscribe and follow me on my social media pages. To start with, you would need general conditioning and strength training to get to some athletic level. While you'll never be at the super soldier serum, even with steroids because it goes even beyond that apparently, you would still need to be strong, fast, flexible, athletic, etc. And I won't go too into detail in this video, but instead link other videos that I've done where I talk about it in more detail. Now I say inspired because Cap's style of fighting is unique and extremely difficult to recreate, and even more so to use in a combat scenario. One reason is due to his ridiculous physical strength, as it allows him to throw with such force. The other reason being, of course, the physics behind the shield itself making no fucking sense, with the closest explanation I could think of is that the special property of the shield itself, called proto-adamantium, allowing for it to rebound off a variety of different objects with minimal loss to angular momentum. So while you can throw it around and hope for it to come back like a fucking boomerang, that doesn't mean it can't be useful to have a shield as a weapon. As for one, it can strike while also defend, which you see Captain America do in some of his fights. For example, a shield bash or a shield strike or whatever you want to call it, which you can see in the M1 medieval fights where they use shield and sword together. So for a quick option, the cold steel medieval buckler polymer shield is not a bad choice. I say this one in particular because of the YouTube channel Heart to Hurt testing it out in 2 different videos. A couple of good pros. For one, it's small enough to be portable. The version from the video at least is also very solid as it's been tested, and unlike a sharp knife or sword or a firearm, it's unlikely for anyone to take it away or question you about it because it's not sharp or has any real obvious dangers. And if they do ask any questions, just say it's for cosplay. Now if you want to know how effective it is in a variety of different tests, watch the 2 full videos by Heart to Hurt on the topic. One of the things he mentions is that modifications do need to be done for that specific type of buckler, particularly for the handle, but also the concave, wrapping the handle with some sort of grip material or some kind of rubber or foam to make it more comfortable. A similar modification for the concave itself with a soft padding allowing you to strike with more force than a regular punch without having to hold back. An issue that he goes over in the video is the buckler getting grabbed, which he explains that with one hand on the side of the buckler, he has the better leverage thanks to the handle itself. But with 2 hands, it may get taken away, but he also has free reign to attack the opponent as both hands are on the buckler itself. With that said, you still want to train your grip strength to be able to hold the buckler and not lose it, but also be mindful of scenarios where you have to let go on purpose to throw your opponent off or to avoid an even more dangerous scenario. With all of this, it doesn't have to be the buckler shield, it can be any shield, but with different shields, the pros and cons change. Such as the bigger the shield, the more defense, a positive, but it's also harder to carry around, especially inconspicuously, and it does block off vision and may limit certain movement depending on how heavy it is. Shape, style, and material can also play a part because you may not want to get the most effective, large, unique style shield because it costs too much money. Also the material itself, depending on what you want to defend against, like a ballistic shield versus a wooden shield, with the former being bullet resistant and the latter not, unless maybe it's super thick or with a higher density as explained in a Scientific American article. As for attacking, while I don't know much about it itself, 2 basic ones are shield bashing, which is hitting with the front or face of the shield, or hitting with the edge, both when you get nice and close, and of course if it goes to the ground, you can also, as shown in both a Captain America fight with Iron Man and in this YouTube video, you can slam the edge on the opponent and cause a lot of damage, or just keep doing some ground and pound where you can hit their elbows, their face, with fear of little repercussion in terms of physical pain, as long as you padded the shield itself correctly. An important takeaway to to remember is that a shield by itself isn't the best offensive tool. I would much rather have a baseball bat or a sword or a spear, and while it's better than nothing to have a shield when you're both unarmed, it's best to pair it with another weapon, like a stick or a pole, which I would say is more abundant than like swords, as it's not the 18th century or 15th century or whenever swords were very common in whatever parts of the world. That was the quick option, but I also found another interesting shield if you want to get a more custom one, because it's not as easily accessible. Its name is the Spiked Pavis, or however you pronounce it, I believe in Italian. It's like a kite shield, at least one version is, with a sharp point on its tip. I couldn't find a seller like on Amazon, and the videos on the shield were either custom made by a third party or by the YouTuber themselves with PVC and plywood. The first video by the YouTube channel Scaligrim shows a smaller, compact representation, almost like a forearm guard of sorts, with a small tip. When he tests the shield in sparring with swords, he had a positive feedback on the device when paired with a sword, even though it has its own drawbacks, such as against a sword and you only had a shield either in one arm or two, so you still need to have a weapon in the other hand to put up a fight, but it has some decent defensive and offensive capabilities. Now, the other video by Shadowversity also made a Spiked Pavis, but theirs was much larger with a larger surface area and a longer spike, which Scaligrim also mentions with a Chinese depiction of a spiked shield. While the second version was not tested in a spar, I would guess that it has a better chance against a sword by itself, though the sword still has the advantage, but the larger surface area and the spike being longer and actually sharp does make it a more dangerous weapon. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and support the channel by hitting the join button, and or, here's an option, watch the streams Tuesdays to Thursdays, 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.